what the US Navy SEALs do with their Big Four. And the first of these is working with the goal setting, not just long-term goal setting, but short-term goal setting. Not looking at lasting a whole week in that rigorous course, but just focusing on what we need to focus on now, which is getting through to lunchtime. And by making short-term goals, we have a greater chance of making it through without having any disasters or bad decisions made. Second one is mental rehearsal or visualization, going through what's going to happen before it actually happens. And then our mind and body is prepared for the different eventualities. So visualization is a very, very good tool to prepare us for anything we're going to be engaged in. And self-talk, we need to be watching our internal dialogue, don't we? It often gets negative, and it can allow the back of the brain, the feelings, to come in and take over and press the panic button. And so this helps, like all these do, to keep the frontal lobe, the rational frontal lobe, to make the decisions rather than the feelings. And that can be very disastrous when the feelings, and you can imagine an elite athlete would find this very useful when the pressure's on and their thoughts are all over the place, to coming back to getting the frontal lobe and rehearsing the game plan or whatever it was that the coach has been putting in their mind, which includes, of course, the goals and the self-talk, the visualization, and the final one is arousal control. In those minutes just before the beginning of a race, or when we're about to have an interview with a very wealthy client, and it's a lot at risk, we may find that our emotions are trying to take over from our rational brain. And these arousal control techniques are very, very powerful, because the mind and the body are very closely connected. And if we just simply extend our breath and make it longer and slower, rather than a panting type of fight or flight situation, it will start to slow the mind down a little bit and bring it back to off panic mode and back to the sensible decisions of the frontal lobe. And in that way we can be far more effective in that important interview. And these sorts of techniques are incredibly useful if we're having struggles in a relationship. Again, rather than pressing the emotional button and yelling and screaming, when that arises, if we can keep the front of the brain in control and keep the voice and the communication reasonable and polite, then things can go forward in a much, much better way.